Hi all, welcome to Page Up TV where we cover business, technology, politics, and everything else in between. Buckle up. This plane is about to take off and instead of chicken or beef, we are serving news, views, and opinions. So what's on the menu today?
Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex topics by going straight to the source material. And today, we're digging into a high-stakes clash at the very top of the South African police service, a conflict that really tests the foundations of policing in the country. So, was it a lawful policy decision or was it an illegal operational order? That is the central question in an explosive power struggle, pitting the political head of the police against the operational commander. We're going straight to the evidence to figure out what's really going on. All right, so our story kicks off at a pretty unusual time, New Year's Eve 2024. A letter from the Minister of Police lands on the desk of the National Commissioner. Now, this wasn't just some administrative shuffle. The Political Killings Task Team was handling some of the most sensitive cases in the entire country. And this one directive didn't just cause a stir, it basically ignited what legal experts are calling a full-blown constitutional crisis. So probably wondering, why all the drama? Why didn't the National Commissioner just, follow the order? Well, the answer lies in the very clear but now fiercely debated lines drawn by South Africa's constitution. To really get our heads around this, we've got to turn to the expert testimony of Major General van Rooyen. I mean, this guy has a doctorate in law and over 40 years in the police. He argues this entire conflict just boils down to two key ideas: policy versus operations. Okay, so let's start with policy. Think of policy as the what and the why. It's the government's big picture plan. So a policy might be to reduce gender-based violence or to prioritize fighting organized crime. It sets the destination, but not the specific route to get there. And then you have direction. This is more like a nudge. Major General van Rooyen gave a great example in his testimony. He said a lawful direction might be the minister hearing a lot of community complaints and telling the National Commissioner, hey, you have to do something about gangsterism. See, he's pointing to a problem, but he's not dictating the specific operational solution. And this slide, right here, lays it all out perfectly. It shows that fundamental split. The minister's job, under Section 206 of the Constitution, is to set the strategy, the what, but the National Commissioner, under Section 207, is the one who executes it. He controls the how, the when, the people, and the resources. It's a structure designed specifically as a firewall to prevent political interference in police work. So, in a system like this, where does the power actually lie? Well, the chain of command tells the whole story. Now, what's really interesting here is how clear this is. The line of operational command runs directly from the National Commissioner down to his deputies and the provincial heads. Notice who is not in that direct line? The minister. He's the political head, sure, but he's not the operational commander-in-chief. And the Constitution has this critical safeguard built right in. An order is not automatically lawful just because it comes from a high office. In fact, every single member of the police, from a constable to a general, is constitutionally forbidden from obeying what's called a manifestly illegal order. And this brings us to the million-dollar question at the very heart of this inquiry. Evidence suggests the National Commissioner pushed back on the disbandment order, but the directive was allegedly carried out anyway by one of his own deputies, and that would effectively bypass the entire chain of command. Let's get right to the central argument then. Was the minister's directive to disband the task team a policy matter, or did it cross that bright red line into forbidden operational territory? According to the expert testimony, the answer is an overwhelming yes. And the reasons given are both really specific and, well, very telling. So here's why the argument is so compelling. The minister didn't just set a new priority. By ordering an immediate disbandment, he was allegedly dictating how to use resources, interfering with live cases, and controlling the timing. All classic operational decisions. It's like the owner of a car factory walking onto the assembly line and shutting it down himself. And what was the result of all this? Well, according to the testimony, hundreds of these politically sensitive cases were basically put on ice. The dockets were allegedly removed and stored for 5 months, completely halting the investigations. So the impact of crossing that line wasn't just some procedural issue. The argument is that it actually stopped the police from doing its fundamental constitutional job to prevent, combat, and investigate crime. This whole thing leads us to a much bigger and honestly more worrying question.
Was this crisis the result of a fundamentally broken system? Did our checks and balances just fail?
Now, you might think so, but interestingly, the expert testimony from Major General Funroyan suggests the answer is no. This wasn't a problem that more committees could have fixed.
The argument presented here is powerful. This wasn't a failure of external systems, like parliamentary committees. It was allegedly an internal breakdown, a breakdown of command, discipline, and that constitutional duty to obey only lawful orders.
So what you should really take away from this is that the issue at hand may be less about a flawed system and more about individual actions and accountability within the police service itself. The system is designed to work, but it absolutely relies on people following the rules. Ultimately, this case forces us all to confront that fundamental question. It's a massive test of that constitutional barrier designed to protect policing from politics. And the answer is going to define the future of command, control, and accountability in South Africa's security services for years to come.